The Black Transporters Association has condemned the recent spate of truck attacks in the country. At least 21 trucks have been set alight in various parts of the country. Police Minister Bheki Cele says at this point 12 persons of interest have been identified. Let's unpack this further, get you more reaction, this time with the Black Transporters Association's president, that's Charles Mhlongo, with us in our studios here in Johannesburg. Great to have you on the program, sir. Thanks so much indeed for making the time. And we're speaking just off air, as we try to wrap our heads around what on earth is going on, that in some instances this is in fact not a new problem. So perhaps my first question to you is, what do you reckon it is that's made this so sustained? Is it because we don't have the political will to solve it, or because it's actually a complex problem to solve?
Thanks, Ayanda, for hosting me. Thanks, viewers at home. I think, Ayanda, this issue is a serious economic sabotage that is influenced by criminality, but it requires the level of consciousness, because we are all Africans, we are Azania, and it's unfortunate that it cannot be blamed on foreign truck drivers, because if you can check that South Africa, it used to be a transit for what we call landlocked countries that obviously have been moving their cargoes through our terminals in Devon, in Richards Bay. You mentioned all of them. But when obviously you realize that almost 80% of transiting those goods through South Africa, it has been withdrawn. And it has obviously created an opportunity for countries such as Mozambique, because they are going through that, Namibia, and as well as Tanzania. So clearly, basically, it tells you that it is seriously eating on our economic gains as a developing country. But also, what is critical and most important, I think our government also, they need to be on top of the game around addressing this particular issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. Are you saying that these trans-border routes have now been stopped because of the violence that many truckers are suffering here in this country?
They have been reduced.
Reduced, okay.
I mean, we used obviously to move almost 80% of landlocked countries' goods, but the unfortunate part, it's 80% of it has been taken back, and it is going through Namibia, Mozambique, and Tanzania.
Yeah. All right. So this explanation that, it's labor issues at the heart of the violence itself, you essentially don't buy that, That's the sense I'm getting from you.
Yeah. Look, it intertwined because of when obviously you are saying that it's labor related. At some stage, yes, a little bit. I'm agreeing on that one, on the basis that the employers who are currently employing drivers that are not complying in terms of papers, which obviously are classified as a scarce skill. If you can mention that, but truck driving, it cannot purely classify it as a scarce skill. But those operators that are contravening employment laws of this country, it means that they are weakening the strength of the bargaining power, because of employees that are illegally employed are not obviously allowed to have a say in terms of bargaining issues. But also compliances such as your unemployment insurance fund, they are not collecting what they were supposed to collect, because of these employees are not registered. And also the issue of tax as well is not obviously collected on the basis that maybe this illegal employment practices. They are using cash maybe to pay those employees, which obviously you can also link it to money laundering. Absolutely. And so forth. Yes.
Yeah. You know, there's a role, of course, for the government and law enforcement to play, but I wonder whether or not there's enough of a conversation of what the industry itself can do to at least cushion yourselves from people who are essentially cutting corners and creating an environment where this kind of violence can happen. From an association's perspective, with various other associations in the sector, is there a mechanism that can be used to hold those defaulting employers accountable? Because ultimately, when they go down, they come down with the industry.
Look, Ayanda, I will suggest or propose that because our country, in terms of road freight infrastructure, it is well developed. We are having these things that are called way bridges. So all the trucks, by law, they need obviously to pass through that. So I will employ at least our government as a matter of agency. If ever there is an issue of addressing this employing unqualified personnel, that maybe at this what we call way bridges, the government deploy your Home Affairs there, your Department of Labor inspectors, so that they can be able to check and verify that these drivers that are crossing through the way bridges are legal or are illegal. So by measure of doing that, I think the government can be able to identify if ever this particular issue that is currently sabotaging the economy, it is true or not.
Sure.
Yes.
And it's a long-standing issue, and I suppose that's one of the first few practical kind of solutions I've heard, at least since this latest spate of attacks has begun. And the reason why I point out it's long-standing is because I wonder what investors are thinking. And I'm sure that's a question you grapple with yourself, you know. People who've got the capital, who can make an investment in this industry and who can therefore create employment, are probably considering other options at the moment. How worried are you about the economic fallout of what's taking place?
Look, this thing is a very serious economic issue because of most of big operators now are considering to move their operations outside South Africa. And obviously, it has a negative impact in terms of a rising level of unemployment, which I think that it's an issue that it needs attention of all of us, law enforcement agencies, operators, organized labor as well, to sit around and see how we can collaborate and deal with this issue. But what is critical and most important, Ayanda, it should be an issue that all of us we put efforts to end it. Because of, I mean, each and every year this issue is reoccurring. And for us as South Africa, it creates a perception that we are xenophobic because we cannot attach this issue with illegal. We are all Africans. Yeah. We must love ourselves. We must love each and every African people that we see because they are us.
Sure. And it's complex in that sense, I suppose, but I hear the sentiment. There was an interministerial committee that was put together, a task team that was meant to finally get to the bottom of what's taken place. Over a year has passed, and here we are having this conversation after more than 20 trucks were burnt. Are you happy with the progress that this team is making?
No, I'm not happy at all because of there are no reports that are surfacing from that interministerial committee that was set up by former Minister Mhlongo. But also the objective of that particular forum, it is also unknown because of if ever they have been meeting for over a year and there is no resolutions, there is no way forward, it means clearly it's non-functional or it does not do what it was supposed to do.
At the very least,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Charles Mhlongo, thanks for giving us your reaction to this incredibly important story. It's one that we'll keep watching as it continues to unfold. Once again, Charles is the president of the Black Bulk Transporters Association. As we continue tracking the latest around the torching of trucks around the country. Once again, Charles, thanks for popping by.